What's up, everyone? Jay here with Tap and Turn Gaming, coming at you today with an EDH deck tech. So about a month or two ago, we had one of our viewers leave us a comment on one of our videos on our channel. That viewer is Robert Freisen, and he requested that we do a gameplay video featuring a deck built around Intet The Dreamer. Now, at the time of that request, and currently still, Derek and I don't have a physical deck built around this guy. So that's kind of the purpose of this video today, is kind of a first step into potentially getting a gameplay featuring this guy on our channel by doing a deck tech on him. So Robert, we do apologize that it kind of took us so long to get around to your request, and I know this isn't a gameplay video as what you originally requested, but, you know, like I said, kind of a first step into potentially getting a gameplay video of this guy on our channel. So, with that said, obviously our general's Intet The Dreamer. He's a 6-cost, 6/6 flyer. He's Teamer colors, and basically, more or less what his ability does is whenever he hits a player, you can exile the top card of your deck, and then for as long as you control Intet, you can cast that card without paying its mana cost. So, also by paying 2 and a blue when he hits an opponent, you can trigger that. So he's got a pretty cool ability. I know I've seen, anyways, a lot of decks built around this guy that are pretty combo-centric. That's not the direction that we decided to go with for this deck. We more or less kind of went with Teamer good stuff for this deck. So, if Intet hits and you activate that ability, you'll just basically, exile something good and be able to play it for free and just get, more stuff on the board than your opponent. Plus, it only takes about, 4 hits, just lonely by himself with nothing attached to him for him to kill your opponent with commander damage. So that's also not bad either. Alright, so that's our general Intet The Dreamer. First up, we'll take a look at our land base for this deck. We run an Alchemist Refuge, Breeding Pool, 7 Forests, Frontier Bivouac, Gruul Guildgate, Gruul Turf, Halmar Depths, 7 Islands, Izzet Boilerworks, Izzet Guildgate, Kessig Wolf Run, Mosswort Bridge, 7 Mountains, Rugged Highlands, Simic Growth Chamber, Simic Guildgate, Steam Vents, Stomping Ground, Swiftwater Cliffs, and Thornwood Falls. So, not the craziest of mana bases. Pretty budget-friendly, if you ask me. I mean, we have the shock lands, like Steam Vents, Stomping Ground, and Breeding Pool is our most expensive stuff in the mana base. The rest of it, mainly basics and, the guild gates and the bounce lands and the gain life lands from Khans of Tarkir. So, nothing too crazy. Next up, we'll take a look at our sorceries that we run. Blasphemous Act for the sweep, Cultivate for the ramp, Disaster Radius for the sweep, Explosive Vegetation for the ramp, Fury of the Horde to gain additional combat and main phases, Genesis Wave, everybody knows and loves that card. Guided Passage, basically will get you 3 cards out of your deck of an opponent's choice, a creature, a land, and a non-creature, non-land card. Kadama's Reach for the ramp, Mystic Speculation for Scry 3, so you can set up your top cards for Intet, and it has buyback, so that's nice. Relentless Assault for more additional combat and main phases. See the Unwritten to cheat a creature from your top 8 onto the board, and if you're ferocious, you can cheat 2 creatures instead. Serum Visions for that Scry 2 and drawing a card, so not only can you draw a card, you can set up your top cards for Intet again. Sky Shroud Claim for the ramp. Tooth and Nail, just an all-around amazing green card. Everybody knows and loves Tooth and Nail. And World at War for more additional combat and main phases with Rebound, so that's very nice. Next up, our Planeswalkers. We run 5. We run Garruk Wildspeaker, Ral Zarek, Sarkhan Unbroken, Tameo the Moonsage, and Xenagos the Reveler. They all do what they do, and they do it very well. Garrick mainly there to ramp you, Ral Zarek mainly there to remove creatures and tap stuff down so Intet can go in. Sarkin mainly there for the card draw and ramp. Tamio, everything is good on Tamio. I don't really want to get into Tamio because I've fallen victim to her many, many a times at the hands of Derek. So, and then Xenagos the Reveler, he ramps you, gets you dudes, and lets you cheat out creatures and lands from your top 7. So he's very nice. Next up, we'll take a look at our artifacts. We run Cloudstone Curio, Conjurer's Closet, Crystal Ball, Sensei's Divining Top, Soul Ring, and Vidalcan Orrery. Just some really cool artifacts. This Cloudstone Curio will let you bounce other things that you have on the board that shares a type with something that you just played, granted that it's not an artifact. So, you can bounce a creature when you play a creature and then recast the creature that you bounce to re-trigger effects. Conjurer's Closet flickers creatures in and out to re-trigger effects. Crystal Ball lets you scry to set up for Intet. Same here with Sensei's Divining Top. Soul Ring, everybody knows and loves that card. Supreme Mana Rock. And Vidalcan Orrery to play non-land cards as though they had flash, which actually works very well with the cards that you exile with Intet. So, if you exile a creature, you can cast it as though it had flash if you have that on the board. Next up are the enchantments of the deck. We are in Aqueous Form. Enchanted creature is unblockable, and when it attacks, scry 1. So it's very, very good on Intet. Not only will he go in and obviously hit your opponent because he can't be blocked, but when he attacks, you scry 1, so you can set up that top card, and then when he hits, activate his ability, and yada, yada, yada. Bear Umbra gives the enchanted creature +2/+2, and when it attacks, untap all your lands. Very nice. Defense of the Heart, just an amazing green card. If one of your opponents has 3 or more creatures on your upkeep, you can sack this and get any 2 creatures out of your deck and put them on the board. Amazing. And Temur Ascendancy, give your team haste and draw cards every time you have a creature with power 4 or greater enter the board. Next up are the creatures of the deck. We run Acidic Slime to destroy artifacts, enchantments, and lands. Animar, Soul of Elements to lower the casting cost of our creatures for every counter that's on him. And when we cast a creature spell, he gets a counter. Deadeye Navigator to flicker out himself and the creature that he's soul bonded with. So very, very good to re-trigger enter the battlefield effects. Dragon Broodmother to net us a 1/1 flying dragon token with Devour 2 on every player's upkeep. Eternal Witness gets you cards back from the yard. Fathom Mage, whenever a +1/+1 counter is placed on it, you draw a card. Gruul Rage Beast there for creature removal. Hellkite Charger to gain us additional combat phases when he attacks by paying 5 and 2 red. Inferno Titan spits out lots of damage when he enters the battlefield and attacks, and he has fire breathing. Kiki Jiki, don't need to discuss him. Everybody knows what he does, and you either love him or hate him. I personally, I have a love-hate relationship with Kiki Jiki. I use him in some decks, and I've fallen victim to him many times. So I love him and I hate him at the same time. Maelstrom Wanderer gives your team haste, and he has Cascade, so you can, flip cards from the top of your deck until you reveal something that costs less than him, and put it on the board, then do it a second time. Muldrifter, everybody knows and loves him. He draws you cards. Palancron, pretty notorious card. You can go infinite mana with this guy very, very easily. Prime Speaker Zagana comes in with counters equal to the greatest power among other creatures you control, and you draw cards equal to the number of counters that she comes in with. Prophet of Crufix lets you play creatures as though they had flash, and it untaps all your creatures and lands during each other player's untap step. Riku will copy your spells for a blue and a red and net you creature tokens that are copies of creatures that you play for a green and a blue. Seedborn Muse untaps all your stuff during each other player's untap step. Here we have Shaman of the Great Hunt. Whenever one of your creatures hits a player, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. And if you're ferocious, you can pay 2 and 2 hybrid blue-green. Draw a card for each creature you control with power 4 or greater. Soul of New Phyrexia gives your team, actually not just your team, gives all your permanents indestructible by paying 5 colorless, and then if he's in your graveyard, you can pay that same cost and exile him to get that same effect. Soul of Chandalar, he is a 6/6 first striker, so he's nice just alone with that. But you can pay 3 and 2 red to Lightning Bolt a player, and then Lightning Bolt up to one of their creatures, and then he's similar to Soul of New Phyrexia, where he has that ability to pay that same cost and exile him from your graveyard to get that same effect. Soul of the Harvest will draw you cards every time a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control. Steel Hellkite, potential board wipe. Well, not so much a complete board wipe, but whenever he hits a player, you can pay X and you destroy all of their non-land permanents with converted mana cost X, so that's very nice. Surrak Dragonclaw, he's got flash, he can't be countered, he makes it so that your other creatures can't be countered, and your creatures have trample, so just all around really good stuff. Temur Sabertooth lets you bounce creatures, and then by bouncing that creature, he gains indestructible, so he's very nice. Terracodon blows up 3 non-creature permanents, and then for every permanent destroyed that way, its controller gets a 3/3 green elephant. I'll gladly give my opponent a 3/3 green elephant to destroy, something menacing that they have on the board. Thassa, God of the Sea, mainly there for the scry, so we can set up for Intet, and we can also give a creature unblockable by paying 1 and a blue, so very good with Intet as well. Uvenwald Tracker, mainly there for creature removal by letting us have one of our creatures fight another target creature. And Woodfall Primus, there to destroy non-creature permanents, and he's a 6/6 trampler, and he has Persist, so if he dies, you can trigger his non-creature destruction a second time. And then lastly, for the deck, we have the 3 instants that we run. We run Chord of Calling. It's got Convoke, so you can tap stuff down when you're casting this to lower its cost, or actually not to lower it, but pay for its cost. And it lets you fetch up any creature out of your deck with converted mana cost extra less and put it on the board. Cyclonic Rift, basically a blue sweeper. It will bounce a permanent for its mana cost on the top of the card, and then if you overload it, it's essentially a blue sweeper. And then lastly, Savage Beating. You can give your creatures double strike or gain an additional combat phase on this card. Then if you entwine it, you can do both things. So it's a really good, really, really good card. Alright, so that is more or less the deck for Intet The Dreamer. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Just a couple of other things to talk about real quick. Balance of colors, relatively balanced. We have more green stuff than we do of red and blue. But, we have a lot of green fatties and, ramp spells and stuff like that, so we rightfully have more green stuff than blue and red. Types of cards, predominantly lands and creatures, with the rest of it being compiled of all the other types of cards. Our mana curve, sits pretty high around 3, 4, and 5, and then curves downward from there. Our average converted mana cost is 4.54, and if you wanted to purchase this deck as is on tcgplayer.com, according to that, this deck is $381.64. So, that about wraps up the video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, throw out a like, comment, subscribe. Leave us some suggestions of other decks that you may want to see us build. And that's about it. So, thanks again for watching, and we'll catch you later.